Hey YouTube, Dan Otto here, and today is the start of Ultra League Premier Classic and Ultra League Open. This morning I put out a video on Ultra League Premier Classic rankings and teams. I will link that in the description and at the end of this video. So if you want to play Premier Classic, which is level 40 and no legendary, go check out that video for rankings and team ideas. But in this video, we're going to go over rankings and team ideas for Open Great League, which is level 50 and legendaries. So the good news is I have a lot of teams because I played Ultra League Open a lot over the past how many seasons it's been on, and a lot of the seasons, last season in particular, I had to grind to legend in Ultra League Open. So I've got 4 teams that I use to grind to legend, so they're all 2800 to 3000 ELO range teams, so I think they're good. That said, the meta has changed a little bit, so we're going to just talk about that first. So let's just go to the, I was going to say the elephant in the room, but it's the birds in the room. It's the wing attack buff. So Pidgeot, so one of my teams has maybe one, maybe two. Pidgeot was already my MVP in this meta before, because what you could do is you could just, there's so many just fighters, or if you got into like a Giratina or Swampert or something like that, you just feather dance them, and then just the Gust, back in the day, the Gust feather dance combo would just like, you can go through pretty much anything except for the steel. So it was just Pidgeot and 2 things to cover the steals, and you'd be like, and rocks, and you'd be fine. Now, I think too many people, because Pidgeot got this buff, like Pidgeot's going to get even better, so that's why it's ranked so high. But I think with that buff now comes other Pokemon that are less usable, and Pokemon that are now going to just come after it, right? So Pidgeot is at number 2, Gliscor is at number 5 and 9 as the double as one shadow, and then Charizard wing attack is at 17, right? So all your wing attack users, the pros and cons of each. Pidgeot, again, Pidgeot's bulky. It's a level 51 best buddy. You can just wing attack. Now you get to feather dance quicker, so you're going to lower, super effective, lower their attack much quicker now, right? So outside of steals, wing attack, feather dance down, it's just going to be super easy for most cases. Plus now you get to Brave Bird faster too. Like Pidgeot's going to be pretty broken in this. The next thing that is Gliscor. Gliscor has a nice Night Slash and Earthquake combo. So Night Slash is going to be good for like your Giratinas, your Trevenants, just sort of most neutral situations. And then you have so many steals coming after these flyers. So Gliscor being able half ground, the Earthquake being able to hit all these steals is going to be important. And then what was the other one? Charizard. Charizard is going to be one of those. I think Charizard is going to have way more play in the level 40 because it is under a level 40 Pokemon. The Blast Burn is obviously super effective. You have the Dragon Claw for the dragons. You have the Blast Burn for the steel. So still got that combo, just lacking the bulk that goes with it, right? Because it's like a level, I don't know, 36 or something around there, where it sort of maxes out at. Giratina. Giratina has been like sort of, actually I should start with Registeel. Let's go to steals. Registeel, I don't know how, Cobalion, and then double Steelix on here. So steals, if you're going to have a bunch of flyers, you're going to have a bunch of steals. Registeel's always been one of the top ones in this meta, just because 2 nukes. Cobalion, so spammy. Double, I used it last season, double kick and Sacred Sword. It takes like 2 to 3 to go to. It's so fast, so spammy. And then Steelix is XL'd, lower the opponent's attack, defense with Psychic Fangs, and then just able to Dragon Claw, Dragon Tail through, plus Crunch for all the ghost coverage, right? So I think steals will be definitely relevant. I mentioned in my video earlier today, if Swampert has Mudshot Hydro Cannon, it will always be on this list. So double 7 and 14, Shadow and not Shadow. Giratina, I missed Giratina and Trevenant. So your ghosts, Giratina just, you can run Shadow Claw or Dragon Breath depending on your team comp. It's just tanky, spammy, pretty wide coverage. Just watch out for darks, essentially. And so it's running Shadow Claw. If Pidgeots are going to be as everywhere as I think they are, I would probably run Dragon Breath. That would be my suggestion. If you're going to run Giratina Altered, is run Dragon Breath, just because I expect Pidgeots to be everywhere, and the claws will be resisted. And Trevenants, again, I mentioned this in my video, I think earlier. No, I didn't mention it in the video today. I mentioned it in the video on my Altaria team 2 days ago on Tuesday in the Great League. And what I mentioned was Trevenant is still a beast in Great League, but because everyone's so scared of Noctowl, it's gone away a ton. It's going to be the same situation here. Because everyone's going to be so scared of Pidgeot, I think Trevenant's going to be less used. but it shouldn't be, because like you're gonna do well against the Steels, you're gonna do well against Swampert, you're gonna do well against Gliscor to a certain extent. You do well against the Rizian, another grass, right? It's got so many good matchups, so don't sleep on it. But if you're gonna use Trevenant, 2 counters to Pidgeot must on your team. The rocks. Now that there's so many flyers, Regirock kind of already had play because Stone Edge Focus Blast is just 2 nukes of moves. But now Auroras, right? Ice and rock. So ice, rock for flyers, dragons, just pretty, I guess fire now too. Good combo all around. It's gonna be pretty weak to Swampert, like as a rock. So just make sure you cover those weaknesses. Cresselia is one of the same thing. One of those tanky Pokemon that will do okay overall, but like it's gonna struggle against some of the top Pokemon. It's gonna struggle against Registeel, not really having anything to throw. You're gonna just get outpaced by the Pidgeot, and if they lower your attack, your Moonblast aren't gonna do anything. You're weak to Ghost, so Trevenant and Giratina. Like, so it's a lot of the top Pokemon losses on here. But otherwise, tanky Pokemon, nice Trevenant, nice Swampert answer, and just good overall just based on bulk, but it will struggle a bit. And then Darks, Guzzlord, Obstagoon, Scrafty. Because Trevenant and Giratina were such a things, Dark always had play in this. I like Obstagoon. Sorry, I like Umbreon as well, not on this list. So if you have a Dark, so Guzzlord's high because, again, a Dark Dragon, right? So Dragon Tail, Dragon Claw just add up quickly, plus the crunch for the Ghost. So that's obvious. Obstagoon is one of the trickier ones because it is a counter user. It's not a fighting. So that's the pro. No, I guess it's a pro that you won't take super effective from the Pidgeot. It's a con that is a normal dark, so you're double weak to fighting. But there's a lot of Ghosts. There's a lot of Steels. So Obstagoon will have play. Like if you can get into matchup against a Steel and then like obstruct and just boost your defense, and you can kind of start like bulking yourself up, and you can run through teams. And then there's a couple odd ones here. Virizion, kind of a worse version of Cobalion in my opinion, but has some play against the waters, just probably a lot less play now against Pidgeot, so I'd be worried about that. And then Buzzhole is interesting because the counter, it's so attack heavy, like the counters and superpowers like really add up really quickly, and then lunge lower your opponent's attack. Like, it's a nice combo there again, but like flyer, weak to flyer, like you just need to watch out for all the flyers that you are now going to see in this meta. So I'm going to go over the 4 teams that I used to push to Legend last season. So like I just copied and pasted, took a screenshot here. So you have Pidgeot, which was like my MVP, Greedent, and I have no idea why I'm blanking on the Water Fairy legendary there, Pokemon. I'm just blanking on the name. It is so this was a team where you had to build for Trevenant, right? Because you're weak to Trevenant in the front, and then you have 2 normal type Pokemon in the back to answer Trevenant. I think now I would replace Greedent with something that's going to be a Steel, because right now this is looking like Registeel is going to be a big issue with the Zap Cannon for both. You're double weak to Electro, right? So Zap Cannon, Registeel is going to be an issue. So I would replace Greedent with something that can beat. I'm not worried about flyers because you have that coverage for flyers there. You got Charizard coverage, you have Giratina coverage, you have Trevenant coverage. If you have Pidgeot, you have 1 Trevenant coverage there. So Pidgeot, and I'm gonna look it up right now. The Pidgeot Water Fairy core is, in my opinion, very, very strong. You just need to replace it with Tapu Fini. So you just need Registeel coverage, so you can do like an Obstagoon. You're kind of weak to a counter user, so you could do Buzzhole to a certain extent. Buzzhole's a little glassy. I was gonna say Escav. Escav can deal with that without taking super effective. The only problem with Obstagoon is you're double weak to fighting, so if they focus blast you, that's still an issue. Second one was a balanced team. It's kind of hit or miss, but it is Talonflame, Swampert, and Trevenant. And so Talonflame was one of those, like, as long as you didn't see a Swampert, It's a pretty good lead because even worst case scenario, you can Brave Bird something, right? You have Incinerate, Flame Charge for the steals, and you have Brave Bird that can just almost, it doesn't one shot everything, but it does a lot of damage on everything else. Swampert, just again, you have 2 in the back for steal answers. You have Trevenant in the back for your Giratina as your main answer there. Swampert just kind of spam, you can deal with almost everything else. I think this team still sort of works because you can deal with, like, between the Talonflame and the Swampert, you can basically deal with the flyers that you're going to see. You just Trevenant, again, you just need the 2 answers for the flyers because Trevenant is going to have a real rough time. This is my team I called. It does make any sense, but it worked. Jellicent, Umbreon, Giratina altered. So it's a bit weak to dark because you're double weak to dark here, plus like an Obstagoon or something would just ramp up on the, or Scrafty would ramp up on the Umbreon. But it worked in the fact that it covered almost everything else in the meta you were seeing at the time, right? Multiple answers for Trevenant in the back, multiple answers for Giratina, multiple answers for Steel to a certain extent. You could do okay against Registeel. Running Ice Beam is not, you have to run Ice Beam in my opinion. If you're going to run Jellicent, you have to run Ice Beam to deal with the Pidgeots and the Flyers you're going to see, but those will hit super effective on the Flyers. Umbreon has bulk for everything else and can deal with the Ghost. Dragon Breath, Dragon Claw is so spammy, and it's a tanky Pokemon. So this team, I said it right in the title. You can go check the playlist. This team doesn't make sense, but it worked. It was the thought process behind it. And the 4th team is what we hit Legend with and it was Jellicent, Escav, Dragonite. So let's just start with it. You might want to replace Jellicent on this team. You're just looking for a 3rd, but it was Dragonite is such a good Pokemon just because you resist water in Swampert, you resist fire in Talonflame. Your Dragon Breath, Dragon Claw will do great outside of steals situations, right? And that's where the Escav. So Escav, Dragonite core was insane. I added Jellicent because you need some bulk, right? You're a little glassy with those 2, so add some bulk. Escav, again, Escav's going to have less play now because it's going to have play. There's still a ton of steals out there. There's still a bunch of fighters, which, I mean, Dragonite covers the fighters too. So Escav will have play, but man, you really got to watch out for the Pidgeot because you won't really have any move to throw at it. So I would add a 2nd Pokemon to cover the weaknesses. Dragonite and Escav basically cover each other's weaknesses down the board for the most part because you resist ice in Escav, so you can just counter through ice. Dragonite will cover, like I said, will cover the fire, right? So they're amazing combo. Just cover Pidgeot, I'd say, with a 3rd. And basically cover what you're seeing in your meta. Again, I think Pidgeot's going to be everywhere because it was my MVP before it got buffed, and now it's buffed. I mean, I have to Elite TM, Fast TM it off, but I will do that. But it got buffed. I think it's going to be everywhere. I think because it's going to be everywhere, you're going to see an increase in steals everywhere. So trying to figure out what combo can do well against Pidgeot and steals. Could be another steal. I don't have a Registeel, but it could be another steal. Could be, let's say, a counter user that doesn't do super effective, like an Obstagoon that doesn't take super effective against like the flying, right? So that is it. Good luck if you're playing. I'll probably do a mixture. I'll start with Premier Classic because this is the last time ever we'll have Premier Classic. So I'll start with that, do a bunch of level 40 non-Excel, non-legendary teams, and then I'll move to this later in the week because this is actually on next week as well, if I remember. So that is it. Good luck. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.